My relationship with my brother has always been a complicated one. The thing is, both Pitt and myself have completely different outlooks on life, but strangely enough, neither of us could be categorized as wrong. He believes in working hard and bringing out the best in others, while I prefer to get by and have nothing to worry about but myself. Moreover, Pitt's weakness lies in the fact that he can't survive without having someone else in his life, whereas with me, I'm much more dependable on my own. I've been called selfish, snobbish, and sometimes rude on occasion. I personally prefer to see myself as a mixed basket, but negative qualities can be positive ones when you put them in the right context. For example, a person who is selfish always gets the thing that they want, and honestly, I don't ask for much. Give me food, give me shelter, and give me freedom, and you'll have yourself a happy Kuro. The annoying part is when Pitt purposely tries to take control of my life because the way I do things doesn't correspond with his own beliefs. I need to be a hard worker. I need to be more respectful to others. Blah blah blah. I can be both a hard worker and polite when I feel like it. The trick is catching me in the right place at the right time. It's because of the contrasting ways in which we treat each other that I usually prefer to play the devil's advocate. Sometimes I find myself disagreeing entirely for the sake of disagreeing, but that's not to say that I actually hate my brother. He's more like an annoying wart that I've grown used to living with. A wart that does the laundry and cleans the house almost every day. And then I'd be conceited to say that I wasn't grateful to have him for that at least. He's much better than I am at staying on top of chores anyway, leaving me to do the weekly tasks such as taking out the trash. He also cooks most of our meals, unlike me who typically grabs a TV dinner or orders takeout from some backwater Chinese restaurant down the street. We never ate dinner together until recently, however, when Popstar comics became a prominent thing in my life. He's lucky that I felt like coming straight home instead of mucking about after work. Normally, he was used to me returning late, but after talking to DDD today, I found myself too distracted to bother wandering around Station Square. I wish I could just... So, Dark Pit, how was work today? Pitt's question startles me like a hollow knock in a silent room. I realize that the clock on the wall is ticking, and for a moment, I almost asked him to repeat what he just said. Fine, I reply, and I'm back on chewing on a microwave beef strip. It's been busy. I debate on whether or not I should tell him about my new responsibilities, unsure if they would be relevant after the next few days. Probably not. Oh yeah? He scoops into his artificial mashed potatoes. Are you still moving boxes around? I hear his question as an insult, even though I know he doesn't mean it like that. He's just reiterating what I have been telling him since I started working there. The funny thing is, I wasn't far off from the truth even with those vague descriptions. No, I say. I've been setting up the displays and reorganizing some of the stock. I hesitate, scrounging for any other evidence that doesn't make me look like a monkey that simply moves things. Wasn't there anything else besides the new hire? His eyes drop slightly. Is that DDD guy still giving you a hard time? I remember telling him about DDD and how much of a jerk he can be sometimes. In fact, all he ever heard about from me was complaints about the place. But he still persisted in asking me about my day as if he knew I was putting up walls to keep him out. None of my coworkers were really all that bad, but it's true that Pitt ever only heard about one side of the stories that went down. As far as he knows, DDD is some fat slob who watches stuff in his office all day, Fox is a reclusive high school dropout, and Falcon is a drug addict. I call them the Popstar bunch, and they're on WB every night, from 8 to 9, 10 o'clock on Sundays. He's better, I say. He hasn't been watching me as closely as he used to. I actually have room to breathe now. That's good, he pauses. Are you still having thoughts about quitting? I know my brother, and at the end of the day, all he wants to hear is whether or not I'm sticking with the job. He's been thinking about it since the day he first brought it up to me, an annoying thought that lingered in the back of my mind. I don't care one way or another if he's disappointed, but I absolutely refuse to be happy on an account of a decision that he made for me. I can be unhappy and have a job at the same time. There's lots of people in the world like that. A little, I mutter. But it's easy money, and if I keep a good relationship with him, I could probably land a raise or two real soon. My response makes him smile, and for that, I'm somewhat relieved. Well, I'd say that you need to spend a little bit more time before anyone starts thinking about raises, he jokes. But I'm glad that you like the job. It's a stroke of luck, and I managed to see their ad in the paper. Lady Palutena sure works in mysterious ways. Another thing that makes us total opposites is the fact that Pitt is a complete suck-up to some dead angel woman, whose picture constantly haunts me every time I enter the apartment. According to him, Palutena is my goddess just as much as it is his, but I don't buy into any of that religious garbage. The mere mention of her name rolls my eyes. You ought to be grateful that's the only response that he ever gets on this subject. If I do end up sticking with the job, you'll know the reason why, I say. Slim chance of that happening, though. Well, before you decide to quit, could you do me a favor? I reply silently, but curious all the same. He wasn't normally one to ask for favors. Usually it was him whining about why I am the way that I am. I swear he hits his head against the wall with an issue more times than I've slammed my own on the bottom of the upper bunk. Ask yourself if you're truly happy. It's strange. He says it so simply, yet fulfilling that wish is more complex than it seems. As sad as it sounds, I can't be happy unless I'm better than him. I have to be stronger, smarter, and all around more likable than Pitt is, and only then will I be able to find true happiness. Sometimes he just doesn't seem to get that. It would take a miracle for me to do that, I reply plainly. I work at a dead-end job with low-life nerds who have nothing better than do to talk about stupid comic book collections. I see his eyes drop slightly in defeat. The truth is, Pitt, I'm not one of them. I can't be. I'm just a loser street punk. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I can be who I want to be without having to live up to anyone else's expectations, and to be honest, that's all I've ever really wanted. He gives me a look, but I can't tell if it's sadness or disappointment I see. Maybe a bit of both. Then be who you want to be, Dark, he says. I'm not asking you to change, I just don't want you to throw your life away. Oh, jeez, is it really going to be another one of those nights again? You put me on to this job, I say. This was your decision, not mine. So what? It's not like I'm turning you on to drugs or alcohol. He shoves his plate away from himself and puts his arms on the table. I'm genuinely trying to help you get back on your feet. And it's hard enough without you trying to argue with me all the time. You're the one who has to always butt in, I scoff. But truth be told, I didn't find much of a rebuttal in his statement. Don't make me to be the bad guy here. He's standing up now. You're just too stubborn to admit that what I did was actually good for you. As if. You're probably just wanting me to make enough money so I can live on my own. So you're a freeloader now? That's not what I meant. I stand up as well, baring my teeth at him. I don't want to hate him, but the longer I stare, the more I start to see myself. The thick mat of hair, the soft round face, everything is a perfect reflection, as if I'm standing across the bathroom mirror. I see his sharp nose, bubbling eyes, and I even see his outstretched wings. And judging from the tension in the room, mine were likely in the same state. Dark, he says, I don't want to fight with you. I just wish you would be more like the brother you're supposed to be. What, be more like you? I reply instantly. Not gonna happen. I lived my whole life with people telling me to be more like you, and I'm sick of hearing it. You don't have to be like me, he says. You just have to be good. I'm not good, though. Suddenly I feel a speck of dust in my eye. At least I think it's dust. Look at me. Nothing about me is good. I'm just a shadow. Well, if you believe that, then you might as well be. So be it then. This world has enough problems with one pin in it already. A glare escapes me, intentional or not. No point in there being two. I push away from the table, knocking my chair over in the process. His voice urges me to stop, but I outright refuse to comply. I'm also not dumb enough to be trapped here in the house with him. Thus, I grab my jacket and shove out the door. This is usually the route that I took whenever we got into an argument. At least I didn't flip any tables this time. You know, it's weird for me to think about how different I have to be around him. Out here, in the real world, I'm cool, clever, and a pretty decent guy all around. I work hard, I set my mind to something, and I see it through from beginning to end. Anyone who wants to pick a fight with me can go right ahead, for I am more than willing to make them regret ever setting foot in my hometown. I can't be like that around Pitt, though. Whenever I'm around him, I have to keep to myself. I have to be cautious, distant, a mere shadow of what most people have come to recognize me by. I might as well as wrap myself in my wings and be quiet, since the only thing that ever comes out of my mouth are words that strike a match over a field of conflict. I hate being the one who has to walk away first. As I shuffle down a street of random faces, I can't help but wonder if Pitt will be fine doing the dishes on his own. I can picture him clearing the table, wiping down the cloths, and tidying everything up with his white angel apron. Hell, he almost always took care of the house chores while I go and nearly give it a second thought. Although, since I was the one eating with him, I can't help but feel somewhat responsible for leaving him behind. But I can't apologize. I absolutely cannot. Must not and will not apologize to him under any circumstances. Whether he's right about the job or is not isn't the point. I'm just tired of having to look up to him, to depend on him for everything. If all I do is what he tells me, then I might as well be a shadow, Pit Shadow, or Pit 2. Now that I'm thinking about it, being a shadow wouldn't be all that bad. I mean, for one thing, I would always have company to talk to. I'd also be pretty good at dancing, or maybe even jumping, or flying. A shadow can't think for itself, however, it can only do, like Dark, his Like Dark has to constantly do what Pit tells him, because Pit knows what's best for Dark. Pit doesn't know Dark though. Pit hasn't always known about Kuro. Holy crap, it's colder out than I thought.